Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about working in Mexico. Not just being a digital nomad or even starting your own business. No, we're going to talk about actually getting a job in Mexico. Is it even a possibility? What are the realistic expectations for you to have as to whether or not this is actually a thing for you or not? Now, it should go without saying, but I have to say it. If you're planning on coming out here to Mexico, make sure that you have a steady income stream. For a lot of people out there in the audience, well, you guys are retired, so this is a moot point. You already get a retirement check, a pension check, or something like that, and you don't have to worry about getting a job. This might be more of a extra income for some of you guys out there over a certain age. But everyone else out there in the audience that is yet to be retired, well, you still got to work. You still got to figure out a way to bring in some income. And the reality is that this is a huge problem for a lot of people out there in the audience. Because the reality is that not everybody out there can become a digital nomad. Even though for more and more people out there, if you want to make this a lifestyle, you might have to learn a new job, a new career, a new way of making income. So with that said, let's talk about getting a job out here in Mexico. Is it a possibility? Yeah, for a lot of people out there that have high demanding jobs in highly competitive fields, yeah, of course, you have a lot of job opportunities out here in Mexico. A lot of people out there in the audience still have a misconception that Mexico is just a third world country and the only jobs out here would be to be a surf instructor on the beach or something like that. And the reality is that they couldn't be any further from the truth. You know, Mexico is actually a first world country and there's a lot of high-end jobs out here. And what do I mean by high-end jobs? Well, there's a lot of companies out here that you might recognize that have headquarters out here or have factories, manufacturing plants, whatever it is, but they have a huge presence out here in Mexico and in Latin America. For example, companies like Nvidia, which is the biggest chip maker, computer chips, that's right, in the world. So Nvidia is out here, Ford, Microsoft, Google, IBM, I could go on and on. I mean, seriously, just about every company you've heard of is out here in one shape, form, or another. So for a lot of people, it's actually not that difficult for them to just relocate to Mexico. They might already be working for one of these big tech companies or one of these big manufacturing companies out there or whatever it is, and it's just simply finding a job opening in Mexico. In fact, I know someone that recently moved out here that got a job at the Honda Motor Company plant. Basically, they came out here and no, they don't know that much Spanish, because that was another thing I was about to say. The reality is that if you're most likely going to be working out here in Mexico, yeah, you probably need to know Spanish. Again, this is going to greatly vary depending on what company you're working for or what you're doing out there. But if you're going to be working in Mexico, knowing English is a major advantage to being out here, but so is knowing Spanish. So if you're bilingual, oh my goodness, can you imagine what an advantage that you have? So again, imagine that you already are bilingual and that you work for one of these companies or any other company that you can really think of out there, and well, you just don't want to live there anymore in the USA or Canada, and now you're thinking about relocating to Mexico. Well, again, it's pretty easy for you to do something like that these days. Now, for those people out there in the audience that still don't have a job or are simply looking for a new job, well, you can also find jobs like that out here in Mexico. You can find some sort of position at one of these companies on websites out there that I also have on my own website, okay? So there's websites out there like Indeed.com, Glassdoor.com, FlexJobs.com. There's plenty of websites out there and more that I don't even know of. Maybe you guys out there in the audience can help out the rest of the audience that still is looking for a job, where they can find international jobs or jobs in Mexico or whatever it is through these websites. They're just like LinkedIn or some other job hunting site. I don't know. I haven't really looked for a job in over 10 years. But anywho's, you simply go on there and find jobs that are in Mexico, for example. Again, a lot of these high-end, high-level jobs that are high in demand right now out here in Mexico, because Mexico is becoming a huge tech hub. As things are getting a little crazy out there in the rest of the world, well, the USA is starting to rely more and more on Mexico these days. So they're making computer chips out here. They're making cell phones, televisions, automobiles, as you know, and so many other things that we used to rely heavily on Asia for. So now a lot of these things are being made out here, and some of them are going to be also made in America. And so with that said, you already know that they're bringing a lot more manufacturing jobs of all levels back to this region, to the Americas, especially to Mexico, and so on and so forth. So for a lot of people out there, the thing is, it's up to you to go out there and start digging online as to what jobs are available. But there are a bunch of jobs available. In fact, as I was saying, you can go to my website, and on my website, you can find those other sites that I was just telling you about, where you can find actual jobs, high level employment jobs out here in Mexico, or you can simply just find other kind of jobs. For example, right at the top of the website, I have English teaching jobs. So, you can go out there and teach English. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, but I don't know how to teach. Oh, I can barely speak English myself. Listen, don't worry about it. In fact, if you have an accent or if you have something a little special about you, it makes it even better. Obviously, if you have a teaching degree, an online teaching degree, a certification, whatever it is they're looking for, sure, the better jobs you're going to be able to get and the more money you're going to be able to get paid to do these English teaching jobs. But long story short, you can entry level get in the door and start teaching English. And by the way, it's just speaking English to somebody else in another part of the world. That's basically what it boils down to. Getting paid around $10 an hour, which might not seem like a lot of money in the USA, but out here in Mexico, that's money. That's a lot of money, all right? Getting paid $10 an hour, that's a lot of money. And again, for more context on that, you can watch some of my previous videos, which I just did on the channel, talking about cost of living, talking about how I moved out here with only $1,500 to my name, how I live out here on $1,000 a month. So again, it can be done. All right, and you don't need to work as hard as you did back in the USA. And with that said, well, you're going to have a lot more free time to dedicate to whatever it is you want to do. Again, I came out to Mexico almost 7 years ago. And before I came out here to Mexico, my only skill was cooking. I was a chef. And I knew I was dead in the water out here in Mexico simply because, well, again, I was already past my prime when it came to cooking because I was already in my late 30s. But on top of that, how was I going to compete with the actual Mexican in Mexico that's going to outwork me? All right. And they're going to definitely undercut me on the pay. I already knew that I really had no options when it came to cooking out here in Mexico unless I started my own business. But when I first came out here, I had nothing. So again, I really couldn't rely on getting a job and getting paid what a Mexican gets paid, which is less than $500 a month. All right. So I already knew I had better chance at just getting an online job and doing whatever and being able to survive off of that than actually getting a real job out here in Mexico. Even though I was fluent in Spanish and I had skills, but they were raw skills. And for a lot of people out there in the audience, well, that's a problem you guys have as well. You might be a cook, you might be a plumber, you might work in retail, you might have just a regular, normal job working at McDonald's, working at Walmart, I don't know. And so you're thinking, well, there's no way I'm going to be able to get a job or any kind of employment opportunity out here in Mexico. So what are my options? What are my choices? What am I going to do? Well, in your case, again, you're going to have to get really creative out there. And for a lot of people out there, you're going to have to start your own business, do your own thing. That's what most Mexicans do. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. You're an immigrant now. And not only are you an immigrant, but you're a poor immigrant, okay, that needs to work. that needs money. So yeah, it's going to be extremely difficult, and you're going to have to get extremely creative. So this is why I highly recommend for everyone out there in the audience to already have some sort of secure income coming in. It's as simple as that. Before I moved to Mexico, as crazy as I was to move out here with only $1,500 left to my name, I still had some sort of income coming in. And what was my income? Well, back then, I was already working for other people, editing videos and making content and things like that. Again, you got to remember, this is 7 years ago. And nowadays, well, most people edit their own videos and do their own work. But back then, it was still, a raw skill that I was using to my advantage, something that I had learned very recently back then. And well, I was basically putting it to work. And I was living in Los Angeles at the time, so I had lots of access to tons of people that needed my services. So by the time I moved to Mexico, well, I still had the access to all those people there online. And I had also friends that were still living there, so they made the connection in case I needed a human connection to connect me to a client. And the thing is that not only did my work speak for itself, but on top of that, well, I was undercutting everybody because, well, I was editing in Mexico and I would sell that. And so obviously the fact that someone that was doing an editing job in Los Angeles had to charge a lot of money, and me living in Mexico, I could charge half of that or even less than half of that. Well, they always went with me, so I had tons of work, and that's how I was able to support myself until the YouTube channel and everything I'm doing right now was able to support me and my family. Because the reality is that the real reason I moved to Mexico was because I did not want to just go back to work anymore. I wanted to keep doing the YouTube thing, and I wanted to really give this a shot. Now, for a lot of people in the audience, it might not be YouTube. It might be music. It might be another hobby. I don't know what it is that is your love and your interest out there. But all I'm trying to say is that one of the main reasons I moved to Mexico was because I knew out here in Mexico, my expenses were going to be extremely low compared to Los Angeles. And so therefore, I didn't have to earn that much money in order to pay my bills at the end of the month. And so I got to dedicate a lot more time to making YouTube videos that nobody was watching back then. But again, I was doing what I loved. I got to wake up in the morning and really enjoy my life and enjoy living out here in Mexico. And for me, that was amazing. That was already a huge upgrade than living in the USA and working an insane amount of hours a week for nothing. So look, the reality is that when I came out to Mexico, I had a certain mindset and a certain thing that I wanted to do, and I did it and I got it accomplished. But it was very difficult, and it took a lot of work and a lot of effort. For a lot of you guys out there in the audience, it might not be that deep. You might not want to play music or make art or whatever it is you want to do. You might just simply be looking to work. You just need some income coming in. And that makes it even easier because, well, that free time, well, now you can go to the beach and you can enjoy it doing whatever it is you want to do and basically live in a perpetual vacation. That's right. You can be retired at this age, because if all you really care about is living your life and you're not really that interested in, making a lot of money and having the Lamborghini and wearing the Dolce & Gabbana, whatever underwear, listen, you know what I mean? Then you're going to be totally fine out here. Just making a certain amount of income, whether it's a online job, an online gig, or whether it's simply doing what you love out here in Mexico and starting a little business out of that, which is what I highly recommend for those out there that have been out here long enough. Because once you're out here long enough, and let's say you love baking, well, you can bake, all right, some cookies, some cupcakes, some brownies, all right, literally out of your own house, sell them on Facebook and just grow small. And before you know it, hey, you might be able to put up your own store. All right. And by the way, it's very easy to do business out here. I got full videos talking about business. All right. I'll link those at the end of this one. All right. So that way you can watch, and that way you know everything you need to know about starting a business out here. Yes, even on a tourist or residency visa. Okay. So long story short, you can do that. You can sell your services. You can start new businesses out here. Again, anything from a dance studio to a restaurant to a construction company. I don't know. I don't know what your skills are. I don't know what you're up to out there. But long story short, most Mexicans out there, they have a side gig, something that they do on the side apart from their regular job or their business. So a lot of Mexicans have their own business. And on top of that business, they might have another side business, or they might have a regular job and then have a business on the side. Regardless, a lot of Mexicans, they function in that informal economy, and so can you, legally, without any problems at all. So again, I'm going to link the video on everything you need to know about business at the end of this one so you can get more informed on that, assuming that's the path you want to take. And so with all that being said, I don't want to make this video any longer than it needs to be. The reality is that there are jobs that you can do out here in Mexico. Now, again, not any remedial jobs that you're going to want to do or you're going to get hired for, but there are high-end, high-level jobs that you can actually do for a lot of people out there in the audience. And these days, more than ever, those jobs are in high demand. And so they're looking to fill them. All right. So please look into those jobs if you're young enough and if you have a certain skill set out there. Trust me, there are tons of jobs out there and there are going to be more jobs in the future. And with all that being said, guys, I want to give a big shout out to every single one of you guys out there that has helped contribute to the show in one shape, form, or another. Whether, again, you're helping out in the comments section, you send $5 donation, or you simply leave a like, subscribe, whatever it is you do. Shout out to all of you guys. I love all you guys. Shout out to all the members out there, all the patrons, every single one of you guys. You know who you are. With all that being said, you already know the deal, guys. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon. But more importantly than anything else, please stay awesome. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Happy job hunting out there. Good luck. Bye, guys.